Hello everybody, welcome to Live Scribbles with Jonathan. You can check out my website and my work at jonathanrector.com. And if you guys wanted to support me on Patreon, you guys can head on over to patreon.com/jonathanrector. I wanted to say thank you to all the excuse me, I want to say thank you to all the new Patreons that I got over the last couple weeks now. There's a few of you that have scheduled some private time, which I'm very excited about. I always love talking to you guys one-on-one about your personal projects and getting all that good stuff going. I really, really appreciate it. Honestly, it's a fantastic thing to see people interested in what's going on with all that good stuff. I won't be doing too much rambling. I'm actually sick, so you guys might be able to hear my voice. I'm not sure. I'll apologize right now for all the coughing that you're going to hear, and heavy swallowing and drinking of water. There's not much I can do about it. I just wanted to make sure that I get a stream for you guys, and then I can go back to bed. So in saying that, today, before we keep going, just so you guys understand the new format for this and what's going on with YouTube and stuff, I'll just give you guys another rundown. I'll probably do this for the next month or so just to make sure everybody's on the same page. I haven't had a chance to make a video on YouTube just yet, just to let everybody know. But Mondays are on YouTube anyway, there'll be just normal working videos of like whatever I'm drawing or working on, client or personal, and I'll just talk about what I'm doing, and I'll also talk about what's going on. That's like the normal stuff that's been going on. If you guys checked on Monday, there is an actual Castle Dracula upload, so you guys might be interested in that. Just designing Dracula's armor and stuff. You can check that out and see what you guys think on that. Wednesdays like tonight are the live stream from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The uploaded version of the show, in case you can't make it, is on the weekend, so Saturday or Sunday of that week. Thursday is our instructional videos on YouTube, so tutorials, so you guys can look forward to that tomorrow. You know, pretty basic stuff just to get back in the flow of that. It won't just be tutorial stuff, it'll be recommendations such as tools, art books, just on the art side of things, you know, getting back into the core of what I love about art, not necessarily the process of things, but all that. So you guys can check that out. And then the flow for this show here is it's for you guys and girls. So by all means, ask a question in the chat in all capitals. That way I can see it and I can answer it for you. Regarding critiques, I will take them at the last 15 minutes of the show, so I will give you guys a little shout out when to start posting links if you're interested in that. If not, I highly recommend you head over to patreon.com /JonathanRector, and you guys can sign up right there, and I offer critiques, personal critiques one-on-one with you guys there as well. So without further ado, I'm just going to give a little shout out to the chat right now. I have two things that I wanted to do tonight, and it's up to you guys what you want to do, what you want to see me working on besides answering your questions. So right now, I'm working on Worlds in Peril. We got this comic page going on right now that I'm working on. We can keep working on this, or we can work on some character design, some concept art for the other YouTube video that I'm preparing. And I didn't say this either. I didn't mean to go into the big plugging stuff, but I'm working here and there. It's starting to come across now of how to create a mini comic, and it's basically 3 pages going right from script to concept development, pencils, inks, and colors possibly, and lettering, which will be for free on YouTube. However, I just sent this notification out I think a couple days ago. All of my subscribers on Patreon, you guys are going to get those videos a whole month before it's released on YouTube. Okay, it's a little incentive to hop on there. So you guys are up. It's up to you guys. This show again is for you. Either way, I've got work I got to do. So if you guys wanted to see comic book work, excuse me, that's what we're working on, or we can start drawing some pig warriors. Alright, so it looks like we've got Unsung. We got Will being highly profane. Will wants to see comics. Yes, I did say Pig Warriors. That's the beauty of doing your own comics, right? I don't think I've ever had a chance. Most of the scripts I get, they're all like superhero stuff or like this stuff, right? I enjoy the hell out of it. But, you know, fantasy stuff's awesome. Pig Warriors? Come on. Ian saying, and I just want to address it, technically this is a comics-oriented stream, which it is. But one thing that you guys can probably tell from my channel and even my job, my day job too, is concept art. In comics, if you're doing your own comic, there's concept work, right? At least I would hope there is. If you're just making your own comic, and it's even if it's just slice of life, people talking in a coffee shop over like coffee and cake or something, there still needs to be character design. I would hate for you to start a comic and just draw somebody the first thing that pops in your head. Very rarely do you get that sort of thing, you know? So concept art is very important. And the one thing that I can't stress enough, especially being a comic book artist, is the amount of stuff you need to be able to do. Oh, it's staggering. Even concept artists, you got to be able to create things that don't exist, but you know what I mean? Like with comic books, you need to be able to draw everything, even things that don't exist and things that exist. It's a tough job. Um, okay, it's sounding like we're going to just be sticking with the comic book tonight. That's okay. So let's just get into that. Unsung is asking, Jar, I would like to see how you set up this page and do the FX in panel 1. So let's just scroll up there. Okay, so I'll sort of do this backwards for you. Let me just turn all the inks off of this layer here. Okay, so underneath I have a pencil layer. This is where I would sketch on my pencil work. You guys can see the shadows and stuff. I'm going to just darken that up. This is about the tone I usually work with. And lately I've been trying to get into adding quite a bit of shadow and rendering to the pencil stage. It increases my productivity on inking like tenfold. So I have that, just put it in its own folder, and I just knock the opacity down so I can still see it and I can ink over top of it. Let's just turn that layer on. Let's see if I can turn some of these things off so you can see here. So this is what I'm talking about. Because of the shadow work that I did in the pencil stage, I can just block out those shapes. Do you see what I'm talking about? So like, let's just say for example, her face. Okay, so if I turn that off, you can see that the line quality gets better with the inking, but the idea of where the shadow placement pretty much stays the same. And why I say this increases my productivity personally is because I can just carve out where those shadows are going to be because I've already worked them out in the pencil stage. And then I can just fill it with black. And it just saves a whole bunch of time. I added a perspective ruler to go ahead and do these focus lines. And I just want to take a moment here because I'd read in a comment, I believe on the Castle Dracula video, somebody brought this up. They have Manga Studio 5EX, but they couldn't get the symmetry ruler. So if you click here on your toolbar, it might look like this. It might be a direct line, a frame. You just have to kind of click it. It's underneath the gradation tool and above the text tool. And if you go to ruler, it should be right in here, symmetrical ruler, okay? And you would just draw that line on there, and it'll make its own layer and stuff whenever you do rulers. As for the Kirby Crackle stuff here, I was trying to make a custom brush, but it was taking too long, and I didn't have the time to find out how to make custom brushes in Manga Studio 5. I know Will Robson in the chat, he has one. I'm not sure if he has it in Manga Studio 5. He's a crafty little guy, so I'm assuming he does. But like I say, I didn't have the time, so I just used a regular marker, and I just adjusted the size of it. And just, if you guys ever did pointillism, pointillism would be like, let me just grab a marker. You just that, tapping on the screen, and I would just adjust the sizes, and that would be about it. Regarding one of the questions about the shadows, are the shadows simply cast shadows and planes? Yeah, in this one they are. You can see, like, okay, especially for her breast, if you look at it right here, I have this whole like energy thing coming at her is casting the light. So, theoretically, I probably shadowed her breast wrong. It's very spherical, which a lot of artists like to draw. I usually don't like the big fake boobs on characters, especially superheroes with spandex. It just looks really stupid to me. But that's a style thing. I prefer if it's in spandex, it sort of stretches across the breast as it normally would in real life. It just looks more appealing. But anyway, so you can kind of see that there's another light source kind of coming up here. That's the cast shadow from her arm. Her whole face is in cast shadow from her hand, and that light source is very close, so it's causing a very drastic shadow across everything. Hopefully, it's mostly going to come to life from the colorist, to be honest with you. That's what I'm hoping. And like even here, you can kind of see I still have the same sort of thing going on with her light going on this pose. She's supposed to have lightning going through her, sort of. So we're going to draw, after I ink this up, you're just going to grab a white brush and then just start painting stuff in. Okay, let me just scroll up here. Setting up the panels, I know a lot of people have a question about that. So let me just turn off the layers and just show you how I did that. Manga Studio 5, there's a lot of things I like and a lot of things I hate about it. I still think Manga Studio 4 is a better inking software, in my opinion. Just for your speed, I just stayed all in Manga Studio 5 tonight. But what I've just started doing lately is I would find a comic book that I like looking at. I would scan it in, and this is doing probably way too much work. There's probably easier ways of doing it, but I would scan it in at about 400 DPI and bring it into Manga Studio, and then just grab this tool here. It's under the rulers, and just go here with a straight line, and just pick a rectangle, and then I would just start making shapes until it was the width of the comic book that I liked. So in the case of this, here I'll just show you. I'll do like the first two panels. So I can kind of see where I've already gestured in these panels, right? I've already got my guide, so I would just go ahead and make all the sides that matter there, just like that. And then I would grab the straight line, which is on the straight or on the same width, like that, and literally I think I grabbed the eraser and I did this, so I'm just trying to do it quick for you guys. And then I would just cut out a shape, kind of like that. And you can see, like, right here, we need to erase it. And then what I would do is I would just make another layer. And we'll say it was like that. And then delete that. And the reason why I'm doing this in layers is because now I can only affect a certain one at a certain time. And eventually I'd get all of my panels like that, and then I would just merge these layers down. So we can delete these here. I would merge them all down, and then I would just have my own borders. So I mean, that's the way I've been working with it in there. Unsung saying, you said you don't use folders? It depends what I'm doing. To be honest with you, this sort of thing, I use it for if there's a lot of things going on. It just keeps things organized. So I got each folder for each panel. That way I can also, like, man, sorry guys, I apologize if I'm frustrating you guys with this coughing. But if I have everything in a folder, I can move like this whole layer, right? I can still adjust it, which is the power of doing that. Some people like to put their border inside there too, which is also an excellent way to work. But it depends what I need to do. It's not exactly a great workflow, but if I need to really rush through something, or let's just say it's a Saturday or a Sunday and I have no plans except to do inking, I'll just start inking. I'll just to get the work done. Not that it takes a lot of time to set up folders, but sometimes you just get in that mode where you're like, I just want to do some work and I don't want to think. For me, the penciling stage is where all the thinking goes in. I try not to spend a lot of time thinking too heavily on the rest of the panels. If I can spend all my time worrying in the pencil stage of what I need to draw, when it comes to the inking, I can just ink. I know it's probably not a workflow a lot of people like to do, but it works. It works for me so far. No panel cutter tool. I've messed around with it a little bit and I couldn't wrap my mind around it. Again, it's all of it's a speed thing. If I have the time to do it, I'll do it. Um, but the deadlines, especially on this project, they're always creeping up. So if I can kind of just get by with minimal tools, I usually find that's best. But Manga Studio is very robust piece of software, so it's probably in your best interest to figure out the panel ruler or the panel cutter ruler, whatever the hell it's called. I think it'll probably help you out. In Manga Studio 4, I use it. I love it. Just blocking some X's here. Okay. Just give me one quick second here, guys. I'll check the chat in one moment. So make sure there's some detail on here, some broken glass. Again, just trying to use this stuff as compositional stuff. All pointing at her, things of interest. Even the curve of the car that's behind her. I'm just trying to keep it all in frame. We can get into actually inking this in a second here. Okay. A.B. Snowden. How do you draw so neat and clean? Do you draw in angles, even if something is round? Also, do you do your reflective light in the pencil stage, or do you create it in the inking stage? Thanks for the question. How do I draw so neat and clean? Uh, I don't feel that it's that. I feel it's very messy and sloppy. Like, if you look at these lines up here, like, that's pretty gross. Like, all of this is pretty gross looking line work, right? But the more you draw, at least the way I find, the more you do this stuff, the quicker it comes in your line. Like, these sorts of faces I've done a bunch of times. So I kind of know that, like, what's sort of going on. And the more you draw too, right? Like, ideally your confidence is gonna go up. So even though I know like maybe some of these lines aren't perfect, that like right in here, look at like, ugh, I have a line. Look at this. Her neck is going into her chin, but then her like that stretched piece of flappy skin, that goes underneath your chin into like your Adam's apple, is going above the neckline, but there's a gap in between. Like come on, that's lazy work, right? Um, but I know either once I go in there to do inking, or like even look at those lips, like they're all like chunky. There's no smoothness to it. But you guys might see it a little different because the resolution's smaller. But also when it gets printed and colored, like a lot of those mistakes go away. And this is something I find the more you work digital, that goes to print anyway. The more of that you do, the more you're used to seeing what kind of mistakes you don't really need to worry about. In the DC Comics Guide to Digitally Drawn Comics, Freddie Williams, he talked about when he would do the paint bucket tool like I'm doing here. A lot of times, if you look, like triangles like this, do you guys see this right here? It doesn't fill that in because the pixels get so small that the paint bucket tool doesn't really fit there. Look at all these lines, right? When I was first doing digital, I would go in there and I would just, start doing this, painting in over all these lines because if this was on paper, it's unacceptable. But the thing is with digital, as you zoom out, they're gone. You don't even see them. And as well, like once this gets colored, that's getting filled with a color. You don't even need to worry about it. Um, so to kind of answer your question, to get smooth lines and stuff when you're working digitally anyway, just work at a high resolution and zoom in, and you'll be surprised at like how much you can actually get away with. I know that sounds maybe a little skis ball, but it's mostly just practice. That's for like the circles and stuff. Like I have like a big time problem drawing circles. Like that's okay, but like always in these areas, it's never cool. So I usually I'll go and then I'll stop and I'll just kind of redraw it in, then maybe like fill or do some detail. Like you guys, I don't know if you were watching when I was doing this line here, this outline layer of like the framing of the car. I would go like this, and then my lines are getting wonky, so I'd stop and pick it back up like that. And then all I do is just kind of like fill it in with like dents or something. Most people don't even notice. Not that I'm trying to trick people, but one thing to remember too is you hear a lot of people talk about it. Is like how long is the average person look at a comic page? And that's not an excuse to just do shit work at all. But there's some truth to it that the average person doesn't spend that long looking at a page. So as long as you get enough information there to convey a message, you should be okay. Why is this all filling outside? Oh, that line right there. Okay. And I actually just want a little bit of lip rendering here. Just to curve the lips there. And the actual inking lines here too, they're getting kind of thick. Oh man. Okay, let me just scroll back up and see. Real quick, as for your question with the reflective light, it's a mix. Sometimes I'll have it in my pencil stage. A lot of times I'll just wait because when I do my reflective light on characters, I usually draw it in white anyway. So if I have the core shadow down, I can just draw over where that light would be. Unsung saying, Jar, last week was the back cover illustration. Yeah, so I didn't really need the folders in that one, I suppose. No, you're right. There's not much organization going there. You guys tell me to get my tea on? I need something here, guys. It's brutal. Lars is saying, but you get away with sloppy lines, Jonathan. If I don't make a straight line, it looks awful. It's a mystery. I think the more sloppy lines you do, the better your art looks to a degree, right? Like if I'm selling straight lines all the time and my characters are just all over the place, they pop out like a sore thumb. But I get what you're saying. Absnowden, when you had a tablet were your lines is straight? I actually still use my tablet, guys. I don't talk about it much because on the stream it's just easier to do. Okay, for concept work like this, like that's line art, I find it's the Cintiq is awesome. At least I've got the 12WX, the smaller guy. I would very much like the bigger one. Just I'm sort of getting cramped. uh, Sitting in 12WX land all the time. Like right now, I'm zoomed into this. If I was this zoomed in and I still got this much on my page, like right here, but I was still zoomed in, like that just seems awesome, and I very much want that. But when it comes to coloring, I actually use my Intuos. Oh man, what are you? Let me check. Intuos 3 that I bought a very long time ago, and I actually started my digital work with that. But I bought that, oh man, very long time ago, and I use it on a second monitor. You guys have heard me talk about the lack of color on the 12WX, and I think it was last stream when we were coloring. I was using the Intuos there as well. But lately, what I've been doing is this is probably just me being lazy. That's exactly what it is. It's being lazy, but I like to jump around with my tools a lot too. I don't like to just stick with one thing because I find that you can get pretty cool things out of different tools. So I'll use my Intuos sometimes to draw comics, to do inking, concept art, all sorts of stuff. I don't just stick to the Cintiq because I have it. I'm fortunate enough to have both, right? So I have that option. But like with the Cintiq here, right? What I'm drawing is like 1 to 1. You know, where my pen goes, when I start a stroke and I end a stroke, it's on the screen as that, right? But with the Intuos and other tablets, I can set up a ratio. So let me just put an example here, okay? So let's just say this is my 12WX, okay? When I have a pen and I draw here and I move to here, it's like that's the actual ratio. But on the Intuos, when I have a pen, like my live area is cropped to about here, so I only use that much section on my Intuos. So when I have a pen and I draw this way from here to here, it would cover on the screen from here to here. So I can do very small gesture work on the Intuos and get really cool results that way. It's just a different way of working. So to answer your question, that's a really long way of answering your question, but yes, it doesn't matter the tool as about in regards to these straight lines that you guys think that I'm getting a lot of. Um, I would argue that on the Intuos I was getting straighter lines, only because the amount of distance I have to cover on the tablet is much shorter than it is on the Cintiq. But the Cintiq does feel more natural, especially from a line art perspective. Like I can sit down like tonight right now I'm doing this and it feels like I'm drawing on paper, smooth paper. The only thing it's missing is that tactile feel, you know, that gritty paper sliding your pencil across a paper on a page. So I'm just trying to build up some volume in the hair here. I think I might be losing it a little bit. Let's put a little shadow underneath her chin. See how that looks. It's not bad. She's supposed to be mostly black here, but I want quite a bit of like lightning kind of going on. Okay, let's just go up there. Yeah, I just noticed somebody saying in the chat. Just so you guys know, I am sick, so I apologize for all the and the slurping and the sneezing and all that stuff. As soon as we're done here, I'm going back to bed. Unsung Jar, have you made a making of video showing how you stream over the shoulder style? Oh, you mean like when I was doing traditional pencil and pen stuff? Ian. Jonathan, why don't you try a Unova? The 22-inch is cheaper than a 13-inch antique, and some say the colors are better with it, though the pressure sensitivity isn't as good. Still good tech, though. I've heard a lot of people talk about the Unova. The only reason I never got that is because Wacom comes with like this stigma that it's the best, right? And I've bought into the hype. Every tablet I've ever bought has been a Wacom, and I've never been let down. The gigantic Cintiq, however, I feel like that's the next step to go myself. Um, I don't know. I don't have any. I've never really worked with the brand, right? So I don't know. I think the only thing that's making me not consider it is because it's not a Wacom, and I know that sounds really silly, especially for the cost. But I've heard a lot of good things. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll look into it. I don't know. I really don't know why I don't get it outside of the fact that the name that's printed on it, which is probably a really bad reason to be buying things. Michael, this is for Worlds in Peril. That's the Dungeons and Dragons style superhero role playing book that I'm working on. Uh, no, she's not a black girl. I mean, her costume's black. Like she's supposed to be in silhouette as the player is reading this. This whole intro is to show them how to play the game. So as the character starts developing their character sheet in the narration, the character starts coming out more and more, and then you realize it's this girl that she's finally made her superhero. Oh, showing how I stream now. Well, it's just software that I'm using right now. It's just called Procaster from LiveStream. And I'm just sitting at my table. I know what you're asking. I've seen some people do it where they'll show themselves kind of talking and drawing at the same time. I don't know if I'm really into all that. It seems like the streams that I'm doing anyway, they're pretty hit and miss in quality because of I don't know if it's Canada or what, but I don't know. No, you're right, Ian. You're right. No, and I agree. I don't like paying twice as much for the name. But like you said, it's the pressure sensitivity, and all of a sudden it's like a stigma to it where I'm kind of hesitant. So I think it's just some research is all. Oh, it's a joke. She's not black. Okay. I think what we're gonna do here, since we've got about what would it be 10 minutes? In about 10 minutes, we can kind of do. I'll just stick with this. I was gonna do some Pig Warrior stuff, but maybe next time. Okay, I'm gonna leave this panel. I'm just gonna write a note here so I don't forget. Add lightning. Okay, so we'll jump into panel 4 here. Now we'll go here. Just give me 1 second, guys. I just gotta get a glass of water. No, I won't be doing 2 hours tonight. Literally yesterday, I called in sick to work. Today I called in sick as well. All I've been doing is sleeping, and I bought a whole bunch of fruit. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Magic Bullet. There's like the level up called the NutriBullet. Canadian, so apparently that means I need to like bullets. But what it is it's like a high-powered blender. You just pack stuff in it, click it on this thing, and it blends for like 10 to 30 seconds, and it just like pulverizes everything. And so I've just been shoving like oranges, grapefruits, limes, freaking carrot, all kinds of stuff in there. Just blend it. Just drink this stuff till I feel like, okay, I've had way too much, might throw up, and then I'm out. I'm just sleeping, hibernate mode. Just let my I don't even know what that's. I don't know. I'm just trying to take care of myself. I'm a big baby. Big baby. Let me just check it up here. Ian, give the Unova a try. If you don't like it, you can always send it back. I believe Brendan said he preferred the Unova to this antique. That's actually a pretty high recommendation. I might actually look into that. You know, just getting that real estate to draw on is huge. And I believe Kevin Cross, I could be wrong, he uses a Unova as well. Maybe? I don't know. Let me just check it out. Can you add the lightning now? You guys are going to call me out and doing special effects, eh? And there's Kovo, get the surface. Magic Bullet was your high school name? Ha! It's my weak vegan immune system, guys. It's shutting down. It's betraying me. Okay, I guess we can try doing some lightning here. What time is it? Okay, yeah. Actually, before we do that real quick, this is actually pissing me off. It's like these lines here are way too thick. So I'm just going to draw over them in white. Just to thin that out a bit. They're just looking kind of chunky. No. Okay. So let's make a new layer because this is going to get silly. So, Photoshop actually has this really cool thing that you can do. It's called blending modes. Actually, you know what? I might just do that just to show you guys. Let me just save it here. Ab Snowden is asking, although it's best to use reference, now that you've mastered perspective, I don't know if I understand perspective. I wouldn't say I've mastered it, but thank you. Now that you've mastered perspective, do you feel that you can draw anything from imagination? Yes and no. I mean, okay, drawing anything helps. I don't know. It's a tricky situation. It depends exactly what you need to draw, I guess, right? What perspective does help is make things believable. So in that regard, yes, it's definitely helped. Oops. Like for an example here would be her face. Let's just use that as an example. Let me just draw in red here. You know, this is perspective, right? That's all going on here. Things are flowing around this ball, which is her head like this, you know? And if you don't understand perspective, this sort of thing can kind of get lost on you. And the other thing this sort of stuff lets you do, I'm going to show you why I'm doing all this in a second here. Alright, let's just turn all that off. Okay, so in its grossest form, this is the perspective that she's in. But because I can see all this rounding, right? If I wanted to, I could add perspective lines to this stuff. You know? And I work like this sometimes. I know some people will do the perspective grid first, and then they'll put characters in there. If the character is the most important thing in there, I usually like to just do the character with a rough idea of the perspective, and then put the perspective around it. You can kind of see these arms going in. So there's probably a perspective over here. And then the arms are kind of coming in over here too. So I know it looks like a hot mess. We'll just go back. But now that I have all that perspective in there, right? If I wanted to, we'll just do the easy thing. You know, now she's in a city. You can put some buildings behind her and stuff. You know, and you can set all your lines up to follow that perspective. So like I say, what it lets you do is understand the forms around it, so that it makes things a little bit more easier to make things believable. Not too sure if that answered your question or not. It does, okay. So it looks like some people are still having a problem with the stream. Again, I apologize, guys, for the lag and stuff. It's definitely not on my end, at least from what I'm seeing. I can see it on livestream.com. The little information it's giving me, it's saying it's perfect. Obviously, it's not for you guys, but if you guys didn't want to stick around, I understand. I apologize. This will be uploaded on YouTube on the weekends, so you guys can check that out. But anyway, I'm going to quickly do some lightning here. But we got 15 minutes left of the show, so it's time for critiques. If you guys had anything that you wanted me to critique at all, by all means, please put it in the chat in all capitals. Just put critique with a link. And maybe put a little description in there for what it is you're looking for with help, with what you want, okay? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to lower the opacity so I can see what the hell I'm drawing. So what we're going to do, I think what a lot of people like to do with lightning is it always comes from the people's eye. So what I'm doing here is it's sort of like, how can I describe the pressure that I'm doing? So this would be like the normal line that I get here. This is when I push really heavy on it, okay? So I just stagger it so it goes, and I stop, press heavy, stop, light, stop, heavy, stop, light, like that, okay? And that's sort of how I get this side, sort of a look on the brush. Lightning looks different. A lot of people have different styles of lightning. Sometimes it'll get real chunky, you know, like they'll start throwing lines like that. I'll probably end up doing that a little bit. But I just want some clean lightning right now for her eyes. Maybe we'll branch it up a bit. Now I don't want this lightning to get lost. It's very important that there's a lot going on right now, and I don't want this to just, like, she's gone, you know? So I want it all to serve it. So I want it all to point to her face, you know? So we're going to have lightning crawling across her body. Maybe down with this stuff, we'll start getting this stuff thicker. And I'll just erase bits and pieces. And then just do the same sort of thing. So it's like branching. You know what the worst part is about being sick? At least for me, is when I notice that I'm mouth breathing. Like I just heard myself. It's like it's not even the breathing is a. Oh man. Michael, hey Jonathan, did you watch Guardians? No, I think I had two chances to watch it, but it just never worked out. I'm excited because I heard a lot of people talking real good about it. This generation Star Wars, I heard somebody say, and I mean that's huge. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait till it comes out. I would imagine it'd be soon, right? I don't know if it's out yet, or if it's coming out on that Blu-ray for Christmas. Then me and my bros, we can watch all that stuff. Did you guys see it? Did you guys like it? Ian thought it was okay. Alright, so this stuff here, I'm just going to have it like creeping around her breast and this one here. We're going to put some around her arm as well. But the idea here is I don't want it just look like it's stored on top. I want some of this to be like it's crawling around her body, causing pain, you know. A little spoiler here. The reason for this shot here is so she gets hit by the Kirby blast, we'll call it. I'm just turning the pencils up so you can see. It crashes into a car because of it, and the energy that just hit her is just like lighting her body up, right? It's just like causing her all this pain. And then the main villain shows up, and she's kind of charging up another blast, and you got the main hero here on the right. In the downed car sort of thing. But what this character can do as the character starts developing it, like you'll hear the narrator saying like, "Oh, you just jumped off a building. What's your superpowers?" You know. She says she likes the idea of being able to absorb kinetic energy and things, sort of like Bishop from X-Men. So when she lands on the ground, she absorbs that impact, right? So here, even though she's getting electrified, the narrator is narrating over top. I don't know if you guys can see. Let me just bring this up. I have blue boxes for an idea of where the narration might go. Just sort of talking about like, all right, so what are you going to do now? You're getting fried here with electricity. It's like, can I absorb it? And they're like, yes, you can. So here she's like, all right, I'm going to absorb it and sort of like channel it back at her. So here you get, now that she's taken that pain and she's kind of like shooting it out. So that's like the context anyway of this here. I do have to give credit to Kyle Simmons. He's the guy who's I believe one of the co-creators of Worlds in Peril. He had a pretty big task of, and I don't think he's ever written comics or anything. The script, like his script, is a little weak in parts, but you know I've tried to help him along as best I can. But it's more of like a pacing thing or something that I think most writers have because they're not comic book artists. They might read comics and understand it, but once you get into actually making the pages, right, like pacing and storytelling is much different, and that's fine. It's my belief anyway that comics should be like a team process, right? You're asking the artist to come on because of things like that. Your professionalism in storytelling and pacing is why the writer wants you, not just because you can draw really cool images which help, but because you're sort of like that visual director, right? You can help them, you help visualize things that they might not realize is a problem or things they might not even come across. But in saying that, the story where the character develops as the story goes on, it's actually, I really like it. I enjoy working on this. It's a lot of fun. You know, I'm a big role-playing fan. I don't get to do it as much as I'd like to, but this sort of stuff is really fun. I miss being able to do this sort of thing. Okay, so if I turn this back on, that's real gross. Let me just make a layer in between here, and then I'm going to get to the critique real quick. It looks like we'll probably have time for one, so I apologize, guys. Again, head on over to patreon.com/Jonathan Rector, or just go to my website, jonathanrector.com, and you guys can book a session on there with me if you like, and we can critique your work. There's two kinds on there. There's one where it's like one-on-one for an hour on Google Hangouts. The other one is you kind of send me like what we're doing tonight, and then I'll do like a little draw over with like something written up so you can kind of understand where the stuff's coming from. So I'm just going to show you what I'm doing here with this one quickly. This one lightning, and then we'll get to the critique here. So what I'm doing is I've made a layer in between the lightning layer and the character, and I'm just filling it in white, so what it does is it knocks out all the black, like the shadow work that's done underneath. And theoretically I could have just drawn this all in white because I'm most likely going to be filling this in with white in parts, But there's parts like right here where this lightning is going over white area, and if this whole line art was white, then you'd lose that. Um, but it's gonna look cool over the black. Watch. So if we turn this back up, so you can see like we still got that lightning kind of coming across, right? Um, but sort of what's happening is it starts to get soft in these areas. So let's just get that light on. We're gonna lock it. I believe it's lock transparent, and I'm just going to draw. What it does is it locks those pixels, right? And I'm just going to draw the areas that are in black. We can sort of see what that's looking like here. Okay, so you can see that one area. Let's just turn the opacity back up. So it might look something like that, and I'll do that for the rest of them. Okay, give me 1 second, guys, and then I will jump into the critique here. Okay, my apologies, guys. And I wanted to say too, thanks everybody that's sticking around. I hope those that are here, my sickness isn't getting silly on you, and the stream hasn't been that bad. Okay, it looks like we have a bunch of stuff here. Just wanted some quick questions, I guess, before we, so I can do this critique pretty quick. Michael's asking, are you knowledgeable about printing? Like if you're using pastels and less saturated color, would you use a glossy or matte type paper? I don't have the experience for that, man. I'm sorry. Matte sounds better for that sort of thing. It might help give it a texture look to it. Glossy might, I don't know. Glossy doesn't sound right. It could be though. I'm not too sure. Ian had to take off. See you later, bud. Okay, so I believe Ab Snowden sent a critique here, so let me just check him here. Oops. Just delete all that. I don't know if that's JPEG. No, the link you sent there, Ab. Let me just see if you'd sent another one, because that didn't work. Alright, you're sending a DeviantArt? Okay, cool. Oh my god, this chat, I can't, I can't select. Okay, let's see if this works. Hero, okay, cool. Copy image. Okay. So let me just make a new document here. Thanks, man. It's always nice to have you in here. I hope your art's going good and your health's pretty good as well. Because I know you're always like getting beat up all the time. I don't know what you uploaded here. Save image as, I guess. Oh, it's a PNG. Ah, it's transparent. That's why I'm getting it all black. Okay. Okay, file. File. Oh, God. File, import image. Here we go on hero. Okay, so here this was submitted by Absloden. Thank you. Okay, so just a critique again. I'm not quite sure what this is for. So, like I usually say with most of these critiques, I end up redrawing it for the most part and just my own reasons for it as we go. Okay, so I really enjoy the style of it. It's very simple. It's very clean. Uh, but the only problem that's coming out is, well, there's a few. The balance of the character is off. I mean, the character looks like they're really about to fall over, which is fine. It looks like they're marching. There's a couple problems here. So I'll just draw an example here. So we've got a character, and I'm going to draw this very, very rigid here, okay? What it looks like here anyway, only because there's no ass on the character, is you have him like this, and you have his back leg coming like that, and you have this arm straight down and this arm marching. So I think like if that's the marching pose you're trying to do, that's fine. However, it reads weird because like this leg feels like it should be in front and this leg should be behind. That's like the normal walking pose. Like even if I don't know if people, I guess you kind of march. I'm trying to do it right now. Like if you put your right leg up and your right arm up at the same time and you're walking like you're stomping, I guess. Um, but that's that's one thing. I'm not going to critique the anatomy too much because it looks like it's very cartoon. But your shadows are wrong in some areas. And the one thing I would definitely add that would help, I think this too, is if you just did this. It grounds the character, and it also makes this foot look like he's not falling anymore. You know, like he's now got some a place there. Okay, so uh, let me just switch up what we're doing here. Okay, so I'm just gonna fix some of the lighting going on here. I'm gonna try to keep it simple because that's what it looks like you were doing. So I think his jaw would probably be better like that. I put some light coming down from his brow, under his nose, under the top lip, under the cigarette thing, and his shadow here can really just go straight down or it can curve. You got a lot of sharp shapes, so I'm just gonna keep it straight. And then his ear would probably cast a shadow like that. Okay. Uh, I don't. It's like he's lost his whole back arm. So we need to put a shadow of a shoulder in here. And I'm just gonna draw the rest of his arm over front here. This whole leg actually, just let me axe it. It's causing a lot of problems here. Where are they going here? Oh, we don't need to go that realistic. Okay, so just trying to make it so that he's got something going on here, because like right now, his whole, like, he has no chest either, right? So I'm actually thinking, honestly, all of this should probably be like, I'm just gonna get rid of it for now. So let's just try to figure out. Okay, so he's got a chest. Try to keep him in profile here. And we'll just kind of. So it's really, I don't know. There's a lot of anatomy problems here, and the reason why there's a lot of anatomy problems, or at least why I'm struggling with it a little bit, is because there's some stuff going on here that just doesn't make sense. Like this pose is really, I don't know. It's really weird. uh, like the anatomy here. Let me just bring it down. I just want to show you the anatomy we've got going here. So we've got a shoulder. There's triceps going here. I'd have to presume the elbow's there. Then we have a bicep, which I'm assuming goes into a forearm like this. And then we're bringing the hand back like that. And then we've got the pec was like in here, if it was there at all. And you had like a fist up here. Some really wild anatomy here. I think what we're going to do is I'm just going to redraw this, okay? Okay, so you're saying the kind of idea behind it was just a walking superhero, sort of like a Hitchcock mixed with Incredible. Okay, I'm not going to go with the total style that you're saying. I'm just going to try and draw a marching superhero, sort of like what you've got here. Like, I do like a lot of the things that are going on here, like the style you've got. It's really cool. So, if we're going to go with the Incredibles, I'm going to assume this is going to be like Mr. Incredible. So you really need to get that structure in there, and I'm not sure if you had it in there, and if you did, it got lost at some point. And I'm assuming if that's how it went, it probably got lost once you started adding the shadows, because things start getting a little complicated. So I'm going to really arch his back because he's a superhero. We're going to give him that small pelvis like Mr. Incredible, even though he's got that big gut. And we're going to make him marching, which is fine. But this is where you need to kind of be in consideration of what's going on. What do you want to show, right? So if he's marching, in your version you have this arm up, which is great, but it covers all of his body here. Whereas if you have this arm up, you get to see all the body, but then this arm kind of gets lost. Like, what do you put it back there? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a spot for the shoulder. Most likely I'm going to have his marching arm coming up this way. And what it'll allow us to do is, if you draw through the character on the other side, the shoulders are probably in the same spot. But we can actually draw, just to put some perspective here so you can see it, like this arm behind him, like this is swinging forward, you know? And since this arm's in the front, that lets this one do the exact same thing that you were already doing. Let's just fold this foot like that. So I'm trying to keep his anatomy pretty wonky still as well, but just we're worrying about putting in things that make sense, like the important lines to make it clear to the reader, the viewer, what's going on here, okay? So I'm just making sure that we got the contour line here from the back going in. Give him a little bit of a butt here. And again, it's still pretty cartoony here, right? And I want this foot to be totally planted on the ground. And this one we can kind of have getting ready to go down. Actually, we can play that up a little better. Alright, and he's also got a cape. The one thing you did here is you just kind of have the cape draping. If he's a superhero, at least the style that I like, again, that's all I can keep saying is the style that I like, is I like, you know, let's put that cape, let's give the cape some life. You know, you can play all kinds. You can go like that, you can go like a straight cape like this. Just draping it past him is, you know, it's okay, but you could also get like some life going on there, right? Like it helps to give movement. That's one of the points of capes. So if we got this arm, there's like a twist happening, you know, like. So if he's kind of twisting, let's see if we can kind of get that twist in the cape a bit. Alright, so we're going to say that's where we want it to go. And I'm just going to try to do this pretty quickly here. I don't want to stay doing this all night here with you guys. So we're going to say we go ahead and we did the line art. I'm just going to show you where I'm putting my lighting. Big old shoulder here. I'm trying to be pretty cheesy with this anatomy here too. Okay, so some tricks that I know a lot of people they come across is like if you look at this guy, I turn off all that layers. Like, okay, great, but the problem is it's all still flat in here, right? And yeah, the shadowing is going to help that. Let's get a cheesy cape going here. But what you can do to really just start helping that is there's lines in here that you can use. You know, like he's got a hip line. Maybe he's got like that little like love handle part that even muscular people have. You know, you can even put a couple lines in there for his ribs. And arguably you can put in just a little bit of anatomy in spots. I really don't like that arm. You know, just some stuff to help. Let me just put in a big shadow here. Alright, so now we have that. I'm just going to try to light it similar to what we were already doing. So the light's coming, it looks like, from straight down. So his brow would cast a shadow. You still show his face. Since he is a hero, most likely you want to see his eyes at least. So in here, he's going to get that smoke thing, whatever the hell. If you want to do some rendering, that's fine. Shade inside of his neck. Cast shadow from the ear. Alright, so the shoulder's going to get hit. Triceps. Still folding in on the side there. Get the trap. The back. This is where it can get kind of tricky. Like, how much of your abs do you want to have in shadow? You could even go ahead and try adding another thing here for the cast shadow of his arm. Looks kind of muddy. We'll keep it out. And this side here should probably be in shadow, not the other side. You probably put a lot of that in shadow. Now we can put a cast shadow sort of from his body on this leg. Cast shadow from the thigh, from the light source. And then underneath the cape you can just something like that. Okay, so I'm just trying to show, I mean, I know it's radically different. Just so you can sort of see, hopefully, what I'm trying to get at. Just by moving this arm so you can just show more of the character. You know, I mean, hopefully that makes him look like he's marching a little bit. It's just giving him some action there. And honestly, even if you just changed his cape to moving up, it'd probably help. But anyway, I hope that helped. So I'm going to say goodbye, guys. I appreciate everybody staying, and hope you guys had a good time. One more time, you guys can check out my website and my work at jonathanrector.com. And if you guys are interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, there's some goodies on there you guys can check out. Just by becoming a subscriber, you can get access to free Manga Studio 5 pencil brushes that I use, as well as my upcoming How to Make a Mini Comic web series that will be free on YouTube. But if you are a Patreon subscriber, you will get access to all of those videos first an entire month before I'll be uploading them to YouTube. So you might have an interest there. And or if you guys kind of like what I was just doing there with a critique, I can totally do that with you guys, as well as spend an hour with you on Google Hangouts. And you guys can check over there for the monetary values and all that stuff. But any support helps big time. And thank you if you are a supporter. If you're one of my Patrons, you guys are the cream of the crop. You know, you guys are the guys that are actually willing to put some money out there for me. And for that, I am very grateful. And I appreciate every single one of you. So yeah, I'm going to let you guys go. Try to get rid of this sickness. And again, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. Keep reading comics. Keep making comics. And I'll definitely see you guys next Wednesday. Bye. Hey guys, just real quick, I just want to let you guys know, you can find me at patreon.com/Jonathan Rector. All your financial support there goes directly back into making more content for you guys and you ladies out there. And remember, you can always cancel your subscription at any time. And if you are one of my Patreons, thank you so much. Your help gets me closer to making my personal comics and my dreams. And my dreams come to life. Seriously though, head on over there if you guys are interested. And anybody that gives any money at all, if it is something that you're interested in, you do get access to my pencil brushes that I use in Manga Studio 5EX for free. And there's 5 of those guys. So subscribe today if you're interested in it. Share if you're not. Maybe one of your friends might be interested in it. I appreciate all of it. Thank you again, and enjoy the video. Bye.